Hello guys, welcome back to the railway. It's still a building site, I'm afraid, as you can probably tell. But we're getting on fairly nicely. Finally found myself a footbridge, and that's the only thing that you'll see in front of you that's not been scratch built. And I've wanted a vintage one, and I've been looking for quite a long time. And I wanted a vintage one just because I think it suits the railway. You know, I've got a lot of vintage locos and rolling stock, so I want to have some of the vintage there. So that's one of the Hornby Railways footbridges, and the great thing is I managed to get it boxed, and as you can see the original price there, £3, but this is obviously a very long time ago, and I can't see any dates, although you can see that it's made in England by Meccano Limited, printed in England. Hornby Railways, 00 gauge. And it's just 3 pieces that fit very nicely in there, and hopefully we'll get some shots of that footbridge. Other than that, a few more buildings, a few more houses built, a couple of bungalows, a little park that started. I've only done some of this today, so that's the glue still drying in the fountain, and hopefully that'll be clear one day. It might take a year. But they're all lit with the LEDs. We've got some garden sheds dotted around, but very in the early stages, not really been detailed yet, but I gotta wait for glue to dry. And there's one more object out in the garden that's drying in the sun, if it exists, the sun, which it probably doesn't at the moment, so it's going to take a while, but we won't dwell on all that because we've got a task at hand, which is an unboxing. And here's one of the early Hornby Railways models. It's almost triang. It basically runs like a triang with the XO4 motor. It's the IVATT Class 2 260. It's one of my favourites. You've almost certainly seen it on the channel before. I've probably talked about it before, but I've never actually featured it as an unboxing. So we're going to get it out of the box and running again today. Like I said, it's my favourite. But there's a few differences from the outside of the box from the inside. And that's the colour, the livery. As you see, this is in green, but mine has been repainted to black, not by me. That was obviously before I got it, but I've had it a few years, so she's been black for a long time. Also, this box implies that she might be in the British Railways livery, but she's actually been changed to LMS, and we'll have to see if the number is the same. And basically the box reads, a locomotive designed for use on the cross-country routes with severe weight restrictions. And that's pretty much all the box reveals, apart from the ends here, where someone's written R857, I think, LMS, IVATT Class 2 260, as we know, and made in England by Hornby Hobbies, Rovex Limited, Margate, England. So we're still talking Rovex Plastics, who are of course behind all the wonderful triang models that we know and love. But for now, I'll put this camera on the tripod and we'll get her unboxed for you. Okay, see you in a minute. Alright, I got the camera on the tripod now. Now, as you may have been able to infer by my last speech, I said she has an XO4 motor in her, so that means she's obviously loco drive. But you'll also know that most of the early Hornby locomotives, in fact, were tender driven. And throughout the 70s and 80s, the vast majority of their locos were tender driven, but not in this case. I'm not really sure what my opinions are on tender driven locos. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. I think it very much depends on the model. Generally I'd say loco drives are better, but I have got a couple of exceptions to that in the collection. But for now, I'll show you what she really looks like. There she is. 260 in LMS, and the number is not the same, it's now 6411, and on the box it says 46521, so slight change there. And there we go, a very small loco, as it said on the box, designed for railways with weight restrictions, so she is going to be quite a lightweight loco, but who was designed to be able to pull reasonable amounts of freight. Now I believe this is a mixed traffic loco, so when we get her out she's going to be literally pulling mixed traffic. I've got some freight and some passenger stock on the railway. It's just what I happen to have out at the time, and it suits her, so we'll see if she can pull it. That's the first thing. But first we'll look at the tender. Now, I'm aware that I've looked at this loco before, but hopefully I'm going to look in a bit more detail. So as you can see, the LMS has been scribed onto there quite nicely. If you get it in the right angle, you can just see the scrub marks or whatever. She actually has been out on the railway for a few weeks. She's been in a siding, so you might have spotted her actually, but that's why there's a little dust. Nice coal, much more detailed coal than you might expect for a model of this age. Again, I'm not too sure of the age. I'd say 70s, 80s. I wouldn't say it's as old as the 60s. Windows in the tender. That's quite a nice feature for, again, for a loco of this age. Maybe they were added in afterwards, maybe they weren't. They look as though they've been there since she was produced. Metal wheels on the underside, and a fair amount of rivets, which are still quite visible despite the repainting. I'm just going to move the camera forwards a little bit so it's in the light, because I want you to be able to pick up as much of the detail as you can. There you go, that's a bit better. And it's quite a nice tender, 6 wheels. And all of the metal, like I said, so that's a good sign generally. Onto the loco, just get her out. Now there's no holes in the back, so you just have to pop her out, but you know, she's a lot more robust than modern engines, so you can throw her around a little bit, not that you should. Okay, again, not much painted detail, it's mostly just black. I don't know if that's, it looks like these might have been red, these stripes, on the original, but I think pure black does suit her. Again, not an awful lot of rivets, but I think enough to make it nice. You've obviously got the windows. Cab detail. Not painted, but you wouldn't expect it to be, of course. Lots of nice linkage and valve work and all of that. Looks very nice when she runs. You'll have to take my word for that, because you'll see it in a minute. And generally what you'd expect. Minimal detail, but it doesn't detract from the model. It's one of the nicest Class 2s I've ever seen. Of course, designed by Mr. IVATT. So we'll get her on the line and we'll see her pull some stuff. Well, there she is on the line, looking very smart as usual. You might remember from the My Railway video, the first video on the channel that I did. She was actually the thumbnail, and she is, for some reason, very photogenic. I don't know if it's the way she reflects the light with the paintwork. I don't know, but she is extremely photogenic for reasons I don't understand. But she's very nice looking, I'm sure you'll agree, looking very smart. We're going to get her to couple up to the first coach, because I quite enjoy doing that, and it's something I personally like to see on videos, so I'm hoping you will as well. I'm behind the loco today, which I'm not normally, but it's just my way of trying to stay out of the light. Of course, with the X04, it's not going to be the quietest job, but it's, as you saw there, quite a smooth job actually. I'd say slightly above average on the smooth front, but for now we'll get her off, and she's going, well, not a different direction, but she's going the direction they don't normally run in on this railway. We normally go around, well, I suppose clockwise, but we're going anti-clockwise today. Mix things up. I'm living dangerously, so let's get on with it. I'll try and make this smooth again. I can't remember if I've, no I haven't. Couldn't remember if I'd changed the direction already. And it appears that she will pull it, almost reluctantly. And here goes the freight. And she's very, very quiet. I was actually thinking earlier that she might be ready for a service. I've got a book here with all the service records in, and they're booked in for 6 monthly intervals, serviced twice a year. Now, please excuse the mess, as I've already explained, it's still a building site, but I'm hoping you'll get a decent look of what I've been doing in the last few days as she goes round. So think of it as a sneak peek. Oh, damn. I was about to say she generally doesn't struggle on the points, but she also was going quite slowly, so I'm not going to do anything at all, he says. There we go. And we'll see if it happens again once she's warmed up. Like I said, she's been on one of the sidings for a couple of weeks, so we'll have to see. I think we might speed her up actually after this lap. We'll let her go slowly for a little while, but you know, she's got a reasonably big load. You know, these kind of locos do stutter on modern points a little bit. She's quite a good example regularly. We'll see how she does on this one coming up. The front bogie actually came off there, so I don't know if that contributed to it. We'll have to see. But I'll speed her up now anyway. Right, she's now running at a bit of a happier speed. It's about half speed on the dial, but obviously different locos have different efficiencies and she's coping quite well on it. There she goes. Behind the computer desk. And past the white Pullman who's waiting in the city station. Well, I suppose it's the industry yard. Well, good yard it was supposed to be, but I'd say it's more of an industrial estate now. I think we'll get a shot of her going under the footbridge, I reckon, for the first time. No, it is uphill there, so... And here she comes. I think we'll put some lights on for her as she comes through. Ready? Time for the uphill struggle. No, she made it that time. I think it's pretty much on the boundaries of what she can pull actually. Well, it looks to me like all these tankers are stressing her out a little bit, so I think we're going to have to call for an emergency rescue mission. So she's going to pull the coaches out of there, or she's going to try, assuming it's not too much for her. Just past that point. Right, that's those out the way, let's carry on. Yeah, I think that's a bit easier for her, isn't it? Well guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing her again. She is one of my favourites, as I said. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all soon. Cheers guys.